Hey guys, my name is Andrew Taylor and I'm a professional mountain biker, and I've been living on the road for the past 2 years, just traveling around, hitting up a bunch of mountain bike hotspots throughout the entire US. And I just recently finished a 48 state road trip where I traveled into each state meeting up with mountain bikers and just exploring all the hotspots in each state. So if you guys haven't checked that out, you can see that here. And as of right now, after finishing up the whole road trip, I finally have some time to sit down and kind of reflect on living on the road the past 2 years, as I've learned a lot of good things and bad things and kind of things that make life easier living on the road out of an RV. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my top 5 favorite tips with you guys.
This is our grid, heat, air, apparent. Really, I've never been better. Legacy, this is forever. All the more times I've been severed, I'm raising the bar, you can go ahead and measure. Think about time for a toast. Time that we welcome to go. Yo, we're just leaving, I think about time that somebody go get on their coat. You know I got all that anthem, come back, ain't what you call that add-on. Got anthems and bands with masters, getting them right like my name was Miranda. I ain't bigger dead than alive, I ain't bigger dead than alive.
All right, so living on the road, there's a couple of things you never really want to run out of, and that's water and power. And I basically went from living in a school bus that was full solar power, never having to worry about it, to jumping into the RV and didn't initially get it set up with solar panels because I had the generator. I knew I was going to be driving a lot, and it was just another expense that I wasn't really ready to take yet. But after being on the road and just realizing, you know, there's days where you're just sitting around and you don't always have somewhere to plug into, and you also don't always want to run the generator. So I started looking into it. I found a really awesome Renogy setup on Amazon. I think I paid about $600 with the charge controller, the 2 panels, and did the full install myself. It took me maybe about 4 hours. And now I honestly have not started the generator since I've put these things on here. And it just makes life way easier. You know, I've kind of realized being in the RV, if there's less things that you have to worry about, like power or all this type of stuff, like it just makes living on the road much more enjoyable. So that is something I highly recommend doing, and you'll just be happier in the long run.
And there will be no surrender. Yeah. Come on, here we go. You know that this right here forever. No surrender. It's forever. You know this right here forever.
The question I get a lot is, aren't I worried about people stealing my bikes, because they are on the outside of my RV and they're very visible. And a lot of people end up putting their stuff on the inside, but for me, I just didn't want to take up all this space. I have a lot of gear and whatnot. So one huge tip that I recommend if you guys are going to have a bike rack is make sure it's one with a solid lock on it, and also make sure that you have the adequate amount of renters or homeowners insurance. You know, I've had a bike stolen off the back of here actually before my 48 state road trip, but it was a pretty easy process. The insurance company took care of replacing my bike. And also everything in your RV will be covered if you make sure you just have the adequate amount of insurance. So it kind of leaves you more worry-free, knowing that if someone does break in or they do steal your bikes, that you're covered. You're not going to be liable for replacing all of that stuff. So another big one for me is just having a way to get around and not having to drive the RV every step of the way. So say I get to a spot like where we are right now and I just want to leave the RV. I've got my motorcycle, which is street legal, so I can get around. And I know there's some RVers that end up pulling extra vehicles, and yet it can probably become pretty costly. So I've noticed a lot of people getting e-bikes or just having bikes or some type of street legal motorcycle. So that's definitely a huge one that makes life a lot more easy on the road. Another super useful thing that I kind of found out about halfway through my road trip was an app called All Stays, and I don't work for them, have no ties with them, but it's just an app that I found and I actually purchased. They have a free version, but I paid $9.99 and it gives you access to so much information being on the road, whether it's getting propane for your RV, finding dump stations, if you can stay at KOAs, Walmarts you're not allowed to stay at. It's just a ton of useful information and definitely makes life on the road a lot easier. Something that I'm actually a little embarrassed to even say is when I started out living in the bus, I kind of was buying these gallon water jugs that end up becoming a lot more expensive than just going to your local outdoor store and buying one of these water jugs. You can fill them up for nearly a third of the price that you can buy those water gallon jugs for. It's way better for the environment and yeah, just a lot better way to go about it. So highly recommend that. So that's my top 5 useful tips of being in the road in an RV full time. So if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to shoot them below and make sure to subscribe to my channel. I've got 4 states left from my 48 state road trip that will be dropping over the next few weeks and a finale of Hawaii. So yeah, that would be my 50th state and it was a great one. So looking forward to getting that stuff out there.